are today at Aqueduct Marina in Cheshire, and we're here to talk about how we can clean a boat that's been taken out of the water. And that's really important for maintenance, but also the really key thing is when a boat is being taken a long distance over land. And we're here to look at how a boat should be cleaned to prevent the spread of invasive non-native species. More than 50 non-native species have accidentally been introduced into our canals, rivers and lakes from all over the world, and numbers are rising rapidly. They can cause major damage. They outcompete native wildlife, damage ecosystems and spread disease. They can also block canals, forming a thick green carpet which restricts navigation, clogs up propellers and damages boats. The Canal and River Trust is a charity, and every year it costs us hundreds of thousands of pounds to clear unwanted vegetation and manage the delicate ecosystems which exist in many of our waterways. So what harmful plants and animals do we need to watch out for? So we're talking about things like Japanese knotweed and giant hogweed, but also things that you might not see, like freshwater shrimp or zebra and quagga mussels. Quagga mussels have even been found in an isolated Anglian water reservoir in Lincolnshire. The nearest other known place with quagga mussels is in London, which is over 140 miles away. So how did this species travel overland for such a long distance? It probably hitchhiked on a person, on their equipment, tools or machinery. Some species can survive for days, even up to a week in a damp environment. So how can people help? One of the most important things everyone can do is to stop the spread of harmful plants and animals to a new area. There are 3 simple steps to remember. Check, clean, dry. This should be done before you leave a waterway, even if you're only moving to another spot on the same waterway, but a few miles away. The first step is to check any clothing, tools or equipment that have come into contact with the water, or even mud around the water. If you find any plant fragments or animals, remove them and leave them at the site. Ideally bin them, but always make sure that they can't get back into the water. The second step is to clean your clothing, tools or equipment. Ideally with hot water, but real good rinse with cold water will also dislodge bits of plants and young animals that you cannot see. Use a bottle of fresh water if you have one, or wash things down with a hose. Try and do it on a surface where the water can drain into the ground. The last step is to dry everything completely, ideally in the sun, leaving no damp patches. Don't forget about clothes as well, things like wetsuits, waders and boots. Small invertebrates can live for days in damp folds in clothing, and seeds can get stuck in the tread of muddy boots. So when we've got our boats out, this is a really good setup. It's far enough away from the water, so anything washed off doesn't end up back in the watercourse. It's also a built environment, so all the invasive species that are washed off get captured. There are then drains, so the waste water gets captured as well and doesn't end up in another watercourse. All of this means that we're not spreading invasive species to other watercourses. This setup is also really good because the boat is slightly higher, which means that we can jet wash underneath, and that's really key because invasive species will still cling there. So the boat's out of the water and you can quite clearly see how much material, plant material and even zebra mussels are attached to the boat, and that's why it's really important when a boat is coming out of the water and it's being transported to somewhere else across land or even just for maintenance that the boat is really thoroughly cleaned. That check, clean, dry is really important when a boat is out of the water. We ask everyone to play their part. Please help us to help the waterways we all love to stay special.